You know, when you pick up a notebook and the color just feels right,
Oh.
especially if it's like representing a brand you know.
Oh, yeah.
That visual impact,
Right.
it seems simple, but it's actually super deliberate. And right at the core of getting those colors spot on, that's Pantone,
Absolutely. It's kind of the gold standard, isn't it?
definitely.
And it might not be something you consciously think about every day, but for anything custom made, like these notebooks we're talking about today, whether it's a corporate gift or something on a shop shelf,
Mm.
color accuracy, color consistency,
Right,
it's just fundamental.
right. So for this deep dive, we've dug into this really good guide.
Mm-hmm.
It properly breaks down Pantone colors,
Mm-hmm.
but specifically for designing custom notebooks.
Mm.
And our mission here is basically to pull out why Pantone is so important for making these notebooks look great, yes, but also making sure the colors are reliably the same
Yeah.
every single time.
And for everyone listening, if you're looking to get up to speed quickly but still get the full picture, consider this your shortcut. We're going to boil down the really essential stuff about Pantone and notebooks without getting bogged down in loads of jargon or technical bits.
Okay, perfect. Let's get into it then.
Yeah.
So what is Pantone? Like fundamentally, it's a name you hear thrown around a lot.
Well, basically, Pantone, or you might see it called the Pantone Matching System, PMS for short. It's this global standardized system for matching colors.
Global.
Yeah, it's huge and used across loads of industries, printing, obviously, fashion, interior design, paint, plastics, and yeah, stationery like notebooks.
So it's kind of like a universal language just for color.
That's a great way to put it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole system is based on this massive library of color swatches. And the key thing, each one has its own unique code.
A code for every color.
Exactly, like a fingerprint for that specific shade. And that code is what lets you reproduce the color precisely. It makes sure that, say, a particular teal looks identical, whether it's on a t-shirt made in Vietnam or a notebook cover printed here.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. So if a notebook company uses Pantone, they know their specific brand blue on the cover will be the exact same blue across thousands of notebooks,
Yeah.
even if different factories make them.
Precisely. And that's just a massive plus for keeping colors accurate and consistent, especially when you're talking multiple print runs, maybe different materials, maybe even different countries involved in manufacturing.
Right.
For the notebook guys, it means the cover, the logo, any branding bits, it all stays consistent. From notebook number 1 to notebook number 10,000.
Okay. Now let's zoom in on the notebooks themselves.
Sure.
How much does using Pantone really affect, how we perceive them, the look and feel?
Oh, massively. Think about it. When you grab a notebook, what's the first thing you notice?
The cover, yeah, the color.
Exactly. The cover design, the colors, that's your first impression. And in a crowded market, those visuals are what make something jump out at you.
That initial hook.
Totally. And using Pantone gives designers really fine-tuned control over how that custom notebook looks. It guarantees that your specific brand colors stay true, no matter if the cover is like textured fabric or smooth leather or just classic paper or even some kind of modern plastic. That level of control, it's just essential if you want to build a strong visual identity that people recognize.
And that links straight into brand consistency, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's more than just a pretty color. It's about reinforcing what the brand stands for.
You absolutely nailed it there. Brand consistency is it's vital for building a powerful brand that people instantly get. When all your visuals line up, especially color, it just communicates the company's values and message so much more effectively.
So let's say a tech company wants to give out notebooks at a conference.
Yeah.
If they use Pantone, they can be sure the color matches their website, their app icon, their banners, everything.
100%. By sticking to those Pantone standards, businesses know their logos, their taglines, any key brand graphics, they'll look exactly right, whatever product they're slapped on. And that consistent use of color, it just builds up brand identity and makes it way easier for customers to remember and recognize who you are. Super important for, corporate gifts, promo stuff at events, products you sell in stores, all of that.
Okay, so we get what Pantone is, why it's crucial for branding, but let's talk practical advantages.
Right.
What are the real concrete benefits of using Pantone colors for making custom notebooks?
Okay, yeah, there are some really key ones. First up, and we've kind of touched on this, is accurate color reproduction.
The guarantee.
Exactly. Pantone basically gives you a color guarantee, and that's huge in notebook production because even a slight color shift can, make things look a bit cheap or inconsistent with the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And because Pantone is understood everywhere globally, it just makes it way easier for manufacturers to hit those perfect color matches, whether it's a standard corporate blue or some really unique custom mixed shade they came up with.
So no more guesswork, hoping the yellow you picked on screen is the yellow that actually gets printed.
Pretty much, yeah. Second big advantage, consistency across different batches.
Ah.
Think about ordering a huge run of notebooks, maybe for a big event or to stock shelves nationwide. You need every single one to look identical, right?
Absolutely.
Pantone makes sure that the color tone stays perfectly uniform across all those units. Doesn't matter if they were made last month or this month, here or overseas. And that consistency isn't just about branding. It really adds to that feeling of like premium quality.
Okay, what about different cover materials? I imagine getting, say, a bright orange to look the same on a rough fabric cover versus smooth coated paper could be tricky.
That's a really good point. And it leads to the third benefit, efficient color matching across diverse materials.
Mm-hmm.
Different surfaces, different textures. They absorb ink differently, don't they? And that can change how a color looks in the end.
Subtly, maybe, but enough to notice.
Exactly. So Pantone acts as that reliable reference point. It
Hmm.
helps ensure you get the color you want, whether you're printing on, like you said, textured paper or fancy leather or woven cloth. This is super important for those high-end notebooks or corporate stationery where that interaction between the material and the color is part of the whole premium vibe.
And you're not just stuck with like 20 basic colors with Pantone, are you?
Oh, heavens no, not at all. The fourth big plus is the huge range of colors and the option for customization.
Okay.
Their standard library is just vast. You've got everything from really punchy, bold primaries to the most subtle, nuanced pastels you can imagine. There's pretty much a color for any vibe, any brand identity.
Wow.
And even beyond that massive standard range, there's the option to create completely custom Pantone colors.
Really?
Yeah, for businesses that need something totally unique for their branding. It's pretty cool.
That sounds incredibly flexible. So how does this actually, happen on the factory floor? How do manufacturers use Pantone when they're actually making the notebooks?
Right, okay, so it slots into a few key stages. One of the main ones is color matching for the actual printing.
For logos and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. For logos, patterns, text, anything printed on the pages or the covers. Using common methods like offset printing or screen printing, the Pantone color is the benchmark they work to.
Mm-hmm.
In offset printing, for example, the inks are literally mixed to match the specific Pantone formula, the code, to get that exact hue. It's like baking the Pantone code is the recipe for the ink.
Got it. The ink itself is custom mixed. What about those other cover types we talked about, leather, fabric?
Good question. For materials like leather, fabrics, or those popular soft-touch covers, they often use different techniques, maybe UV printing or specialized screen printing.
Okay.
But the principle's the same. The Pantone color is still the target they're aiming for, making sure the printed design works with the material's texture and feel and keeps everything looking, harmonious and high quality.
And you mentioned custom colors.
Mm.
If a company wants a shade that just isn't in the book, they can literally make a new Pantone.
Yep, that's right. The standard library covers most needs. Obviously, it's huge. But yeah, for really specific branding, you can commission a totally bespoke, custom Pantone color.
Wow.
It gives amazing flexibility, especially if you're doing like a limited edition notebook or you have a brand color that's truly unique and proprietary.
I've also heard people talk about CMYK printing. How does Pantone stack up against that for notebooks? Are they alternatives?
That's a really common question, and yeah, it's an important distinction. Both are used all the time in printing, but they work differently and have different strengths.
Okay.
Pantone printing, as we've been saying, is all about that precise, consistent color match using premixed inks based on the standardized system.
Right, the specific recipe inks.
Exactly. It's generally the best choice for large print runs where you absolutely need that color uniformity, especially for brand colors or those custom shades.
Yeah.
You tend to get superior color consistency, a really premium professional look. So, yeah, often preferred for high volume stuff or luxury designs.
So if your brand guidelines say use Pantone 286 blue, using Pantone printing is the only way to guarantee you get exactly Pantone 286 blue.
Pretty much, yes. That's the most reliable way. Now, CMYK printing, that's different. It uses just 4 colors of ink: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. CMYK.
4 process colors.
Right. And it mixes tiny dots of these four inks together on the paper to create the illusion of a huge range of other colors. Think of how your desktop inkjet printer works.
Ah, okay. Like mixing paints, but with ink dots.
Kind of, yeah. It's really versatile and it can often be cheaper, particularly if you're doing smaller print runs or designs with lots and lots of different colors, like photographs.
No, there's always a but.
Well, the potential downside is that because you're mixing those four inks, hitting an exact match for a very specific pure Pantone color can sometimes be tricky.
Hmm.
You might get very close, but there can be slight variations depending on the printer itself, the paper or material used, even how much ink gets laid down.
So CMYK might be better if you've got, say, a full-color photo on the cover, or if budget's really tight for a small order, even if the specific brand green might be slightly off.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty well. It's often great for complex, multicolor graphics or where cost and flexibility are the main drivers. But if you need that guaranteed, rock-solid match for a specific brand color, especially across a big job, Pantone's usually the safer bet.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. So a company decides, right, Pantone it is for our notebooks. But then they open the Pantone swatch book, and there are thousands. How on earth do you choose the right ones? It must be overwhelming.
It can definitely feel that way. But there are some key things to think about to narrow it down. First, and maybe most importantly, you've got to really understand your brand's identity.
It's personality.
Exactly. The colors need to vibe with what your brand is all about. Are you energetic and modern? Maybe go for bright, bold Pantones. Are you more about nature and calm? Perhaps earthy, muted tones are better. The colors should help tell your brand story visually.
Yeah, okay. That makes total sense. It's another part of the branding message.
Precisely. Second, you really need to think about your target audience. Who are these notebooks for?
Okay.
Different colors trigger different feelings, different associations. Blue often suggests trust, dependability. Green might imply growth, eco-friendliness. Red can be about passion, excitement.
Mm-hmm.
So think, how do you want the people receiving or buying this notebook to feel? What message does the color send to them? A notebook for finance professionals might use a very different Pantone palette than one for artists.
Okay, so maybe a stable, trustworthy blue for the finance guys, but maybe a vibrant yellow or pink for the artists.
Exactly. Third key point,
Mm.
material compatibility. We touched on this.
Yeah, how the color looks on different surfaces.
Right. The same Pantone ink can look surprisingly different on, say, a glossy coated paper versus a rough, uncoated, textured stock, or on leather versus fabric. A shiny metallic Pantone might look amazing on a smooth cover but lose its impact, or look muddy on a very absorbent material.
That's definitely something you might not think of straight away.
It's easily overlooked. So it's really important to consider, maybe even test how your chosen Pantones will actually look on the specific materials you plan to use.
Good tip.
And finally, probably the most practical tip, work with experienced suppliers.
Ah, people who know what they're doing.
Exactly. Manufacturers who make custom notebooks all the time. They'll understand all these little nuances of Pantone matching, how colors behave on different materials, the best printing methods.
Mm.
They can give you really valuable advice on choosing colors, checking compatibility, and just generally making sure the final product looks fantastic and the color is spot on. They're your partners in getting it right.
Okay, so wrapping things up a bit, it really sounds like Pantone colors are kind of the unsung heroes. They're behind the scenes, making sure custom notebooks look professional, consistent, and really nail the brand identity.
Absolutely. They're fundamental, really. They ensure these everyday objects not only catch the eye, but also accurately reflect and reinforce what a brand is all about. Whether it's for, high-impact corporate gifts, notebooks people want to buy off the shelf, or special limited editions, using Pantone is the key to getting that crucial color accuracy.
Yeah.
Plus the consistency across big orders, making sure colors work on all sorts of materials, and having that huge range of options, including custom ones. It's a powerful system.
And hopefully for everyone listening, this deep dive has shed some light on those often overlooked details, the things that really add up to make a product look and feel right and connect with its brand. It's often those tiny, precise things like getting the Pantone color just perfect that make all the difference.
Which actually brings up kind of a final thought, something to maybe mull over. How much do you think these subtle, precise color choices, managed by systems like Pantone, affect how we see and even value other everyday things, beyond just notebooks?
Good question.
Think about, packaging on the supermarket shelf, the color of your car, the paint on your walls. Where else does that level of color precision play a role, maybe even subconsciously, in how we perceive things and the choices we make every day?